Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. And in 2025, if you want to go out there and learn your instrument really well, be the best musician you can be, and have a great, successful career, and make a lot of money as a musician, well, I'm sorry, but you just can't anymore. Now, I'm not trying to discourage you, but let me explain what I'm talking about. Having a career as a musician in the traditional sense, the way we used to think about it, that, unfortunately, is pretty much dead. Recorded music is no longer a product that has monetary value, and it's been like that for about 10 years, but as time has gone by, all of the supporting parts around that industry have started to crumble. And of course, you can still learn to play an instrument and become really good at it, and even become really popular. But if being a musician and simply playing the music is the only thing that you're doing, you're not going to have a financially successful career the way you used to be able to. But that's okay, because there are now a lot of other ways that you can make money, that you can kind of connect with being a musician. And that is the stuff that I'm going to explain in this video. And look, let's get right to it. I'm talking about content creation and social media. That is where the current career is for a musician. Now, I'm going to kind of center this around YouTube, and specifically how you make money on YouTube, all the different ways that you can make money on YouTube. That's really the meat of this video. But there's a couple short little stories I want to talk about leading up to this, that things that have happened recently that kind of highlight why this is so important. We're in February of 2025 right now, and just last month was the latest NAMM convention in Anaheim. And something really interesting happened when I was there. I was at a booth. This was a big guitar company, and I was talking with them, and I was going to meet with one of the, executives there, right? But they weren't there at the time, so it was like we were figuring out a time where I would come back and have this meeting. And the rep guy that I was talking to, he said, yeah, we've got so-and-so, this musician, that's going to play at a certain time. But if you need to come during that time, we'll change his schedule. We'll bump him later on because we really want to talk to you. And this musician that they were having play there, this is like a known guy. This is like a very well-established, great musician that's had a really long, successful career as a recording artist. And they were not hesitating to basically bump that guy so they could talk to me because of my online social media presence. And I'm not saying this, I'm not telling this story to pat myself on the back, because I'm sure there's a lot of other YouTube people that I would have gotten bumped, so they could talk to this other person, right? But the key of what I'm saying there is that to the company, the stuff I'm doing is much, much more valuable to them than the sort of old idea of like an endorsing artist, where this guy's out on tour or he's putting out records and he's going to play their guitar, and so that's what they're interested in. They're really not that interested in that. Now look, I'm not saying all this stuff to discourage your dreams of like, hey, let's get the guys together and start a band. But you need to know, people need to know this if they're doing music today. That old style, that old traditional career just does not exist anymore. You can still do all of those things. You can be great at your instrument. You can put together a great band, record great music, release it. But if that's the only thing you do, and you don't do the content creation and social media side of things, no matter how good that music is, you're just not going to make any money from it. And it's always going to be a hobby. Okay, so the key here is we want to make money, but how do you do that exactly? I'm going to tell you 12 different ways you can make money on YouTube, and a lot of these you can kind of transpose to other social media platforms as well. But I would tell you right now, my advice, if you want to do this and make money, YouTube is the way to go. Now, before we get started, I just want to break in here and say two quick things. One is, if you enjoy videos like this and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. And the other thing is that I have an online YouTube course where I cover all this stuff more in depth, plus a whole bunch of other things, technical things about cameras and scripting and coming up with interesting ideas, all kinds of stuff like that. And there's a link to that down in the video description below. But just to be clear, the information that I'm putting in this video, I'm not leaving out stuff. I think you can use this video just to answer a ton of questions about how you actually make money on YouTube and social media. So here's the first thing. Number one, and this is the most basic, straightforward way of making money on YouTube, is getting monetized where you have ads on your videos, video ads, and you get ad revenue from those ads. Now, in order to get monetized, you need 1,000 subscribers and you need a minimum of 4,000 hours of watch time in the preceding 12 months. And the watch time is usually what's difficult for people. Sometimes they have 1 or 2 videos that they put out and they're kind of successful and people start subscribing, they get those 1,000 subscribers, but if they can't release videos consistently that are popular, then you're not going to get that watch time up. But once you get the 4,000 hours watch time and the 1,000 subscribers, boom, you can become a YouTube partner, you get monetized, and then you start making ad revenue money. Now, how much ad revenue do you make from YouTube? Well, you get paid monthly, and it can be very, very small. It can be $10 or something. Or if you have a big channel that you've grown over time and you have a lot of watch time, people are watching a lot of your videos and they're watching a lot of the video, the ad revenue can be in the tens of thousands of dollars or even more for really large channels. Just from ad revenue alone, you can make a full-time job's income. Okay, but along with ad revenue, there's also something called channel memberships. This is a little bit along the lines of like Patreon, where somebody can pay a little bit of extra money monthly to your channel and they get special stuff, right? You might have exclusive content that only the channel memberships people will get to see. This is a relatively new thing on YouTube, and it's still kind of in the process of being built up, and it's not the kind of thing where you're going to make most of your money from channel memberships, but it's something that can sort of supplement your income that you're already making from ad revenue. Okay, number 3 is super chat and stickers, and this has to do with live streams. If you're doing a live stream and you've got the chat going on the side, people can leave a super chat where they pay some money to you, and then it highlights their comment in the chat, which you can then read live as you're doing the video. That's usually how it works. And the cool thing about it is there's no set amount of money that they can do with the super chat. So somebody can put $1, $2, $5, or $2,000, whatever they want to do. And sometimes it just depends on how badly they want their comment to be highlighted. So if you're doing a big live stream, like some of these gamer channels or something, a big live stream, tens of thousands of people watching, and somebody really, really wants to stand out in that chat comment section, they can put a bunch of money down. It'll highlight the viewer, the person doing the video will see it and be like, oh, hey, Jim from New Jersey just gave you a $50 super chat. Hey, Jim, yeah, let me answer your question right here. You do that, and then, of course, it encourages other people to do the same thing. So for live streams specifically, super chat can be super lucrative. Okay, now the fourth thing has to do with YouTube ad revenue and specifically YouTube Premium, right? Because what if you pay that extra monthly fee for YouTube Premium, and you can turn the screen off on your phone and you don't have to watch any ads? Well, wait, if you're not watching any ads, then how are the YouTubers getting paid? Well, they get paid through the YouTube Premium side of things, and that is basically meant for the YouTuber to get paid even though the viewer is not watching any ads. Let's get away from the sort of built-in income sources from YouTube, but of course, sponsored videos, sponsored content. This is really completely separate from ad revenue. But then you've got sponsored content where a company, a totally separate company from YouTube, is paying you specifically to show something or talk about a service or talk about a product. And there's a few different ways that this can work, right? Somebody can do a video where, like a gear review or something, and a company pays the YouTuber to review that specific product. That could be a form of sponsored content. But also it could be the kind of thing where it's like, hey, I'm talking about politics or news or whatever, and hey, this video is brought to you by, and then you plug the company right there. So that kind of sponsorship, the company doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the rest of the video. It's just that they want to be mentioned to your audience, and so you're going to take 30 seconds or whatever out of your video to talk about the company that's sponsoring the video. And this is another kind of income that can be super, super lucrative. I mean, again, it all depends on the size of your audience and also how good of a fit your audience is to the product or service, the company that's sponsoring the video. But again, this can be, many thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for larger channels. Okay, number 6 is affiliate sales. Affiliate sales is kind of where you're getting a commission for a product that you're talking about, and this is connected through links. Now, Amazon affiliates is a really, really common one. This is one that I use, right? If I review a guitar or a pedal or amp or whatever that is for sale on Amazon, then I'll have a link to that product down in the video description below. Check out the video description below for the links for everything I was talking about, right? Well, you go down there, and depending on how you have the link set up, if you are an affiliate member with that company, like Amazon, then when the person clicks on the link, if they then go and buy the product, you get a percentage of that sale. Now, this is not something that works for every kind of content, but certainly if somebody is using a product or showing a product in a video, then it's a real obvious way to, again, have another source of income for making money on YouTube. Okay, number 7 is merchandise, right? So this is something that is actually, I guess, I don't want to say a holdover, but the old style of being a musician relied a lot on merch, selling t-shirts and CDs and calendars, whatever. But this is still something you can do. And to be totally honest, I think this is maybe not as popular as it used to be. Part of that is because it's a bit saturated with direct-to-print or direct-to-garment printing, right? Anybody can make t-shirts and stuff, and you don't have to have a bunch of t-shirts printed at one time. It's just a setup where somebody will click on a link and they go to this website and it's like, wow, I can get a sweatshirt with the Guitar Max logo or a t-shirt or whatever, and I click on it, and then a third-party company makes that one product or whatever it is that the person ordered and ships it to them, and then me or the YouTuber or whatever, they get like a chunk of that sale. That's usually how merch is done these days. Some people still do it the old way. Well, they'll print 1,000 t-shirts at a time and then they'll sell them directly to people. That's more profitable, but again, it takes more money up front, so less people do that. But yeah, merch, depending on the content, depending on like the personality of the person that's doing the video, merch can be really successful, but I think the key to it is to have products and designs that really help you stand out from everybody else that's doing merch. Okay, number 8 is crowdfunding campaigns. Now, this is kind of a neat thing because you can do something where you might have done a traditional album release in the past and where you have all the expense of recording the album, mixing, mastering, packaging if you're doing a physical release. You have to pay for all that in advance, and then you finally release it and you hope you make your money back. Or with a crowdfunding campaign, you can collect the money first, then you have the money to create whatever it is, and then you release it. And also, Patreon is a form of crowdfunding. And that's kind of like the channel memberships that they're doing these days on YouTube, where somebody signs up on Patreon and they get maybe exclusive access to special content, or they get to see the stuff that you're making earlier, or you just, more of a one-on-one connection where you can answer people's questions more thoroughly and things like that. And the great thing about Patreon is, although it takes more work in addition to what you're already doing on YouTube or social media, the money you make on there is usually in addition to all the other money that you're making from your YouTube stuff. Okay, number 9 is digital products. Now, you can kind of include this in merch, but I don't think it's really good to do that because usually the digital products that people sell are very different than t-shirts or, photos or whatever. Digital products would be like an online course or tab files, right, for guitar players. Now, the trick is, a lot of those online products, you can't do them right out of the gate. You usually have to establish yourself a little bit first and build an audience. If you have an audience of like 10 people, chances are they're not going to be super interested in buying the online or the digital product that you're talking about. But once you have built up a large enough audience, then you can bet that a certain percentage of that overall audience is going to be interested in the thing that you're selling. Okay, for number 10, we're going to get a little bit more complicated here, but you can do licensing and content syndication. You might have noticed that you can go on a modern TV, like a Roku TV or something, and there will be channels on there that is purely YouTube content, and sometimes it's like one particular YouTube channel has their own TV channel. There's even some old school regular TV channels that show YouTube videos, and that would be content syndication. You have the content that you make on YouTube, you license it to other places that are going to show it. This is another thing that is kind of a later stage, right? It works best and it's the most successful when you're already established, when you've already built up your online presence. But if you get to that point and you have your content syndicated on other platforms, it can be very lucrative. Okay, number 11 is consulting and even public speaking. So there's something I'm going to announce the details of later on, but next year I'm going to be speaking at a large, music industry type event, and I'm being paid to be there. And they're paying me not because they care about how fast I can play arpeggios or whether or not I can pick out the individual notes in some like jazz progression or something like that, but they're paying me to be there because I have this online presence and this online following. They know that people will recognize me from social media, and then they're going to be more likely to come to this event. Consulting, of course, can be a little bit different, and sometimes that's tied in with selling digital products. You can sell consulting sessions or coaching sessions. You can think of this as getting an online guitar teacher, right? And you could do that exact thing. That could be considered consulting, but also if somebody was building their own guitar YouTube channel, they could hire me as a consultant to help them do it, save time, learn from my experience, all that stuff. Okay, and the last one, number 12, is royalties. Now, when we think of musicians and royalties, we think of like songwriting and that kind of stuff. But what I'm really talking about is signature products, right? You can go and get an energy drink and it'll be like so-and-so famous person's energy drink, right? Obviously, that well-known person didn't start their own energy drink company, but they worked out a deal with the energy drink company where they get a royalty by being connected with that product. Now, to give you a guitar YouTube example, I have a royalty deal with Harley Benton. I worked with that company to come up with these really cool guitar designs, and I have a royalty deal with them. So every time somebody buys one of those guitars, I get paid a little bit based off of that royalty. Okay, so that is 12 different ways you can make money on YouTube and social media in general. And each one of those things, sometimes on their own, they're not very much, but when you put it all together, it can be very lucrative, and some people can go on to have really big successful careers. And guys, the key here is, if you want to play music, if you want to be a musician, and you want to make money, that making money part is like a key ingredient of what you want to accomplish as a musician. You need to get into the social media and content creation side of things. I'm sorry to say, if you're solely focused on the music and releasing the music and your new album that you're working on, if that is your only focus, the music itself might be great, but you're never going to find that monetary, that financial success that I think in the end you really do want. People talk about, oh, I'm just doing it for the art, and I just want to be respected by my peers for being a great musician, right? Well, you might get all of that stuff, you might put out great music, and you're respected by your peers, and people really admire you for the art you create, but if you have to then live in your car out on the street, I don't think that's what you really want. I don't think that's the life that you envision for yourself. I could be wrong, but let me know down in the comment section below. Anyway, guys, I know this video had a ton of information in it. Let me know what you think about all this stuff. And again, guys, I do want to plug my online YouTube course where you can learn about all this stuff, plus a whole bunch of other stuff much more in depth. So please check that out down in the video description below. Okay, guys, thanks a ton for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you very soon.